rock features that I use, that we all use, some of us use. Mario did a talk on soft rock. This is a similar technique that I got his stuff that he calls what, Mario?
Topping coat.
Top coat joint cement, gyprock joint cement over the top of the foam through here, and that was just a quick experiment for the last cleaning I did, trying to create different aspects of rock strata. That was horizontal there, and I said, okay, the front of the book had a butte bouldery thing from out in the outback, wherever they are, the marbles or something. So I carved up the things, put the stuff over. That was making the marbles. That's more sandstony, and that was sort of vertical strata stuff, based on the same technique. Fairly lightweight. I won't dwell on this because I've done clinics in the past on water, so it's fundamentally self-explanatory. Flat board, textured paint, gloss paint there, and some of the other things are there. If you just read what's there, it'll explain some of the methods. And I probably use mostly the top method with the flat texture and then the gloss. Board showing how I do the waterfalls. Clear plastic, textured silicone with a stick, just making a little bit of texture down it. Then a little bit of dry brushing, cut it, stick it in the seam, in the drop on the waterfall, and decorate around it so it doesn't stand out too much. And that's the water. Where's Mario? That one. There we go. So it shows part done stuff, part done trees done this side, and it shows the waterfall from the back, how it just sits there unadorned, and how I detail it down here. So if you can manage the little bit of weight, and it's probably worth looking at, seeing a lot of the stuff I do just keep close up, because up there it's hard to see what I'm doing here. But the concept of the whole thing is to stick sticks into it, a bit of glue, sticks by go and collect and/or buy dried flowers. You can use blue status, misty blue type, the American pine tree thing, which is called cassia. So I use some of this stuff as armatures to plonk in there to give the effect of the tops of trees and stuff, and the background, which, as you'll see when I put it in, it starts to, a lot of that background that I've painted will disappear. But this in the scene to create the effect of trunks. This is a method this is the first try I've had when I need to create a special gum instead of making wire, twisting wire armatures and stuff. Was a fairly quick way of bonding some sticks together using masking tape, being coated with Silly's acrylic fast grab, which really dries very quickly compared to some of the other stuff. The idea was to get it quick so you keep moving on. So there's about 3 sticks together there, a little bit of masking tape to hold it together, acrylic fast grab, Silly's fast grab on there, total finished here with a bit of paint, and up the top you can see, if you ever want to make trees, pine trees and stuff, getting the tops with all the nice bits and pieces for the branches is the difficult part. There's lots of trunks and sort of comes up and all of a sudden they disappear and there's stubs left where you can't put foliage on. So the idea was to use this basic structure to install other clippings of fine branch material on the end of it, once again with fast grab, to give you somewhere to install the branch, the leaf structure and the foliage structure. So there's tips of other things just glued with the fast grab onto there to give you a better structure to stick your top on. And that was an exercise in creating something probably an hour and you'd have a tree sort of thing you let it dry in between stages. So it's a very, very quick way to make a tree. That is if you can find the right armatures to use the first place. Polyfibre, green polyfibre, basically I tease it out. And I think using this stuff and Woodland scenery mat that's ground foam on their net, I think that the whole, well for me, the best idea is to tease, you think it's right, and tease it again. So I just keep ripping and tearing, teasing is a better word, until that small piece becomes as large a piece as you can get. And when you have teased it right out, and you put a little bit of spray glue and a bit of ground foam over the top of it, will stick to it. It will be a fairly lacy effect rather than a blob.